Oh, hey, bike people. Welcome to another episode of the Bike People of Indy podcast special edition. We're here with a very dumb bicycle build today. If you know our shop, we love dumb bikes. And I'm here with the dumbest local bicycle people in the land. Myself, first and foremost, Matt. My dude Mauricio, he's been, a cornerstone in Bike People since the first day with our service expertise. And you may know Indy Wheel Labs, Brandon here. So the three of us are here today. It takes more than just one of us to figure out how to build a bicycle anymore. So we're going to tag team on this thing. If you're not familiar, a Mini-Velo is a new kind of dumb bike trend. No offense, Japan. But in America, it's kind of dumb. Just in that it's just like a weird assembly of parts you have to put together. First and foremost, this thing's a 20-inch wheel bike. We'll show you the cool wheels here in a minute. But 20 inch is kind of abnormal for what you see in our country, but contrary to me calling it dumb, it's actually a really cool bike with a lot of practicality, especially if you live in a city, if you're using elevators with your bicycle, if you're having to climb stairs with your bicycle, but this would be a great option given the smaller length of a 20-inch wheel bike. If you're taking trains, if you're traveling, flying with your bicycle, these Mini-Velos are a great option. And here at Bike People, we're so into them already that we have an account with Soma for their Rufus Mini-Velo. We have an account with Cute Bikes out of Austin for their line of Mini-Velos. And the last one we have access to is the Velo Orange Neutrino, having a Velo Orange account. So if you are into the cute bike craze, to the mini bike craze, mini Velo craze, come see us at Bike People. We'll customize out one for you just like we've kind of done this today. We've got a bunch of parts sorted out. Brandon, Indy Wheel Labs, we use Indy Wheel Labs a lot for a lot of our wheel repair, spoke repair, and custom wheel builds. When did you start building wheels? How did you even nerd out so hard?
Yeah, so I'm Brandon, or Indy Wheel Lab. I started building wheels for myself in like 2020, 2021. I was doing a lot of endurance mountain bike stuff, and if you know anything about that, you ride mountain bikes enough, you start breaking things. And so really it started as a way for me to more affordably ride the bike and fix up stuff. And it kind of got to the point where I found it very soothing, and it was also just a way to connect with bikes in a different way. I like the ability to choose exactly what you wanted with your components and stuff. But yeah, long story short, I started doing this for others, I'd say around 2023, 2024, mainly for friends and teammates and stuff, and then became a real LLC and started doing it properly last year. So
yeah, we've had a great symbiotic relationship in our first 15 months here. We move a lot of repair service through the door, so to have a local expert that we can just trust to do a great job, a professional level job, like even at the world stage professional. You recently built a wheel for the 6 Days in Berlin race for our good friend Kyle Perry, who raced over there.
Yeah, that was really cool. I do all levels of builds, everything from our track athletes going internationally down to just getting your bike running again, just your basic commuter stuff. So, yeah. And I think one of the things this build kind of outlines is that when you have needs that are, I guess, different from the norm, so whether you're bike packing, building a weird bike like this, sometimes you need something that you can't find off the shelf, and that's really where the ability to whip up a wheel like this, hand building it, is really beneficial. So.
Yeah, if you want to talk about this rear wheel here, again, 20-inch wheels.
Yeah, so you don't see a whole lot of old school mountain bike, 135 mil spaced, disc brake, 20 inches around. And so with what we wanted to do, we wanted to make something that, one, would fit in the bike, but also this bike's really unique, looks really cool. We wanted to do something with a little bit of style to it as well. So we use these Odyssey, forget the exact rim, but we have these laced up to some basically just Shimano Dior hubs. They're cheap and effective. They work really well for what we wanted to do.
It's a BMX rim through and through, though.
Yeah,
right?
BMX rim, 20-inch rim, mountain bike hubs. We have some straight pull spokes, and then these gold Monet natural brass nipples to pop and provide a little bit of style. So we thought we'd kind of mix this up, whip it up for you guys.
Yeah, I liked how you came with that idea to just kind of put a little extra attention to detail into changing up the spoke nipple and putting, what do we call this when you do an off color?
Oh yeah, I don't know, just accent spokes by the valve.
Yeah.
Valve, yeah.
And what's the thought with an accent spoke? You put that like near the valve?
Yeah, so on an aesthetic level, it just adds something to the bike. I thought it would tie in some of the white decals.
Yeah, we got white
From a
here.
functional level, if you ever get a puncture, you know where your valve is in order to get it off and to get things switched. It started out with racers needing to do it quickly, but it's just kind of nice to know where you stand if you have to do any work with your wheel.
Yep, cool. Yeah, and we're really hoping to play off like the brass, or what do you call them, gold nipples on here somewhere. We have some brass stem caps, but upon kind of sizing this thing up, we might not be able to completely detail it out today with the brass, just because we have a lot of real estate here to fill. So we don't have like half a meter of brass spacers, unfortunately. We have about that many, but yeah. So as you can see with these Mini-Velos, they have a comical length head tube there. And that's to account for like the geometry that you have to have for a Mini-Velo that you're going to be able to share between a household. And that's another highlight of these Mini-Velos. While they do come in sizes, I think Cute just comes in a one-size-fits-all. But generally the geometry is in a way that you can slide the seat post up, and as you do, it'll move the seat slightly back given the angle. And that lets you share it with between a small and a shorter, or a taller and a shorter person in the household. If you need to share it as like a city bike. So we're going to get started on building this thing out. What's the first thing, Mo?
Well, we're going to go ahead and just get some rim tape on these rims here, since that's the first thing we kind of talked about. Probably mount some tires up after that, set them off to the side, and kind of forget about them till we're ready to get them in on the frame.
Cool. Why don't you hand that over to me? I can work on that while you get on to the nitty-gritty of... What is it, bottom bracket or headset? What do you like to...
I like to do the bottom bracket since it's like the make or break moment. If you get it wrong, there's not a whole lot of chances for getting it wrong. One of the first things we're going to do, since this is a fresh build, we're going to go ahead and do a quick chase and face of the bottom bracket shell there to make sure that everything on our bottom bracket bearings are lined up and that it rolls smoothly all the way through.
So Mo, you're doing all the technical hard stuff already off the bat. How long you been working on bikes and fixing them? You're of Freewheelin' Community Bikes heritage, right?
Yeah, so started at Freewheelin', gosh, would have been 13 or 14, originally going through their Earn a Bike program, and then, kind of just kept working in and out of shops over the next better part of 13, 14 plus years now.
Well, you are still a young man. I do enjoy that about you, is that you have seen just about every bike out there. I won't want to say every bike, but every bike around here, you've kind of had an eye on it by now, or a variety of most bikes. And part of the success of our little shop here is just, our reviews for our service and everything. And we've been able to crank out some incredible restorations and repairs, and it's been really impressive watching you over the last year fix 100-plus-year-old bikes and bend steel back into place, and just the crazy wizard stuff that you usually see from an old man with a longer beard. So I was joking with you the other day, you need a longer beard to
For my level of wizardry.
reflect your level of bike wizardry. There's like a chart that the longer you're at it, the more you turn into a wizard physically. So what does this do again?
So we're just kind of cleaning some of the internal threads there on the bottom bracket, making sure that they stay in line and plain, but also clearing any overspray, any kind of just on a brand new bike and brand new bottom bracket shell, you would expect to have a slightly, sometimes higher thread profile, just because it is a new, unused, unthreaded surface. So that's what this tool is doing, kind of knocking down some of that, making sure it's nice and clean. All right, that's pretty well in there. We'll go ahead and do the opposite side of our frame.
So when choosing a bottom bracket for a weird bike like this, it's a mountain bike bottom bracket shell on that frame, right?
I believe so. We're going to, once we get it completely faced here, we're going to grab a set of calipers on it and just kind of double check what we end up sitting at. We are going to do a proper face on the outer section of the shell, so that means we're going to have a outer cutting teeth on it, kind of removing some of that built up paint that might have gotten sprayed on during manufacturing.
Yeah, so when you add paint, sometimes it adds an extra layer of paint material right where you need a very flat surface to attach the parts. So part of this task right here is removing that top layer of material past the paint usually, right?
Yeah, you just, sometimes you're not even going all the way through the paint, you're just making sure that you're getting a very consistent, even cut face across the shell, the bottom bracket.
Probably too much information for most home mechanics even. This is a pretty costly tool to own yourself. So yeah, this would probably be a bike shop function if you do get a new bike of any sorts and you're hoping to build it at home, which we all would encourage you to try this at home, try to build your own bike. The amount of knowledge that you learn just tackling your first bike project is a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there are just a couple things that you'd want your bike shop to probably start you off with a build. Again, facing the bottom bracket sides of the shell, and then pressing your headset is a definite. And again, these are things that just require costly tools that you probably don't have at home, and until you're really into it deep, you probably wouldn't really justify owning. So we're always happy to try to, in a costly way, get people in to prep their frames and so they can get started building. We're happy to offer advice too. So. All right, as Mo continues on facing the bottom bracket, talk a little about tires here to put on our wheels. We were shopping 20-inch tires, and we managed to find a Gravel King 20-inch model available. So Gravel Kings are probably one of the hottest tires, hottest sellers we've had since opening the shop. They have a whole line of different tread patterns here. We've been selling a lot of the SS Slick that have just a slick main rolling surface here, which is great for, predominantly pavement use. You generally want a flat tread surface, if you're in the city, because most of us are rolling on pavement. Otherwise, if you do get a treaded center surface, you're probably just going to wear it out faster if you're rolling predominantly pavement. Was a little more limited with the 20-inch sizes we were looking for here, so we are going a little more off-road leaning with our tire choice here. This is the Gravel King X1. This one is a again, 20-inch, 2.1-inch wide tire. And if you're ever mounting a tire, you've got two beads. One bead here, and then one bead here on each side of the tire. You want to start no tube and just get the first bead all the way around installed. And attention to detail, you always want to line up like the most predominant graphic on the tire exactly with the valve. So you work that on. How's it going over there, Mo?
It's going great. Got that drive side cleaned up really well. Happy with that. Gonna get a little more thread clearance on the non-drive side here, just to make room for my cut face, and then I think we're good to move forward.
So working on a tire, I really like to sit down with it. Just lets me kind of see it better, work with it better. Brandon's over there, a little ahead of me. How'd that first bead go in there? This one seems kind of tight.
It's a little bit tight. So getting it over, you can oftentimes try to get this bead into the center part of the wheel in order to get the most slack, in order to try to make it a little bit easier. Some wheels, you can do this with your hand. This one in particular is definitely needing a little help from the tool. So we're using plastic tire lever in order to help gently move things up and over.
All right, on the subject of tires, what's been the most difficult? You've worked with a lot of rim and tire combinations. What's been the most difficult tire and rim combination you've ever worked with as far as getting stuff set up? And
Yeah, I would say that these days the tire standards and rim standards are a little more even across the board, so I've had less trouble with that. The old Contis, so like the Conti GP 4000s and the first version of their tubeless, really didn't play nice with certain carbon rims. I had these Mavic rims, these Mavic Comets from like 2019, and I actually couldn't run that tire on there. I couldn't get it on. I tried, I failed. Other shops tried and they failed. I actually had to find a different tire to run because it just wouldn't fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I'm gonna go get the Cool Stop tire jack. I'm finding this tire especially tight. Of course, since we're videotaping this,
everything's going to be just that much more hard, right?
the universe is pulling out all the stops to make it comical and make us start sweating.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that as well. It's
Okay, so we do sell these in the shop. Perfect time for me to huck more gear as I get to demonstrate it. Just a plastic injection molded, looks like Cool Stop brand tire jack. It's got one little bottom kind of, I don't know what to call that. You hook that on the rim and then this piece will pry it back onto the rim. So in this case, I'm trying to get this on here.
gives you a little extra leverage.
Yeah. And I hope to not have to use these normally, but it's kind of a last resort when it's really tight.
Yeah, these rims have a very high bead. One of the reasons is on BMX tires and rims, you really don't want the tire falling off. So I don't know, these particular rims are a little bit tighter, I think. So
Good point, good point. And this is the kind of stuff that you don't see happening in the bike shop when you might be looking at your receipt and asking, why does this thing cost so damn much?
yeah,
You know, it's because somebody might have wrestled with your shit for like 45 minutes or more, and they're charging you $10 labor. So
I can attest to that as far as wheel building's concerned too. Some of the worst wheels that I've worked on are just coming in for a true up, and there's a lot of stuff that can be unseen in a wheel that they might look the same from the outside. You might have two wheels. One takes 20 minutes to true up and the other takes an hour and a half depending on what you have to do. And I think, yeah, definitely support your local shops. A lot of the time if you see a charge, it's because of some unseen complications in wrestling that happened.
yeah,
So,
this one,
Yeah, it
this
is.
one is gonna be tough.
so what I think's happening is the Velox tape to protect the tire and the tube from punctures is thicker, so it's taking up a little bit of that extra slack that we would be
Give it a whirl.
using. So it's making it a little bit more tricky to get on. So Mo's gonna make it look easy though.
I couldn't install the tire on camera.
No, sometimes you just gotta stop.
Let
Let your arms regenerate. Take a few deep breaths. Go get some fresh air outside and give it another touch. Hey, Jake, cameraman, you want to go? Give us a hand on getting.
2 hours later.
And I'll say, like, when the first bead is this tight, it doesn't bode well for the second bead being
Yeah.
much better.
yeah, it's
So-
gonna be. These are gonna be a little bit of a battle, I think. There we go.
Oh hell yeah,
There it is.
Mo used. Hey, why don't you talk a little bit about this fancy tool you're using?
All right, so it looks really fancy. You guys probably have these laying everywhere. I'm using just a standard Pedro's tire lever. I swear by the Pedro's standard tire lever. It is probably the best one. They also come with a lifetime warranty, so if you do end up snapping the rounded part off, any bike shop should be able to replace that for you. I have literally toolbox drawers full of these some days, just because they're great, but they do, have their limits. And let's try not to break one here on camera today. All right, there we go.
Yeah, this is a real-time example of why I love Mo. Like, if I'm struggling with something, I could spend the next hour and maybe get it. But sometimes Mo's around and I'm like, hey, why don't you give this a try? And he just busts it out.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. Like, the more you do this stuff, the more little tricks and techniques you learn.
And on the topic of those Pedro's levers, they are reinforced and extra sturdy. This right here, I want to show you what happens to a normal tire lever when it meets this sort of a bead. They actually can break and chip. So it really speaks to Pedro's. I prefer them myself for that reason. They're real thick, real beefy.
All right. 68. A little under 68, so it's perfect. All right. Cool.
Find your tube over there.
Oh, tubes are back here.
I got them out, Brandon. I think it's right there, brother.
Right, I think right here probably.
Thank you.
Yep, or that one.
All right. Did you find the caliper I set out
Yes,
there?
I did. So already measured that bottom bracket. Really easy. We'll go ahead and verify one more time. Measure twice.
It's either going to be 73 or
It's a 68, so we're good there.
I would have thought 70.
Right, I would have too, but most modern. This is kind of a weird hybrid. It's mostly set up in road standards. So yeah, we are good there. And so I went ahead and pre-pulled 2 bottom brackets just based on my my knowledge of what I thought would fit. So let's see here.
And the sizing of a bottom bracket is the size, like we were just talking, either road or mountain, 68 or 73.
And that's the width of the bottom bracket shell there.
And then the other measurement's the length of the axle that your crank arms or crank installs into.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, get some basic Park Tool green grease, just kind of lathered up in the threads there, make everything nice and smooth so this bottom bracket threads right in. All right. So our first bottom bracket that we're gonna try is going to be, all right, we're gonna go ahead and go with a 68 by 113 to start, and then we'll kind of, once we get the wheels set up, we'll check our some of our chain line measurements here and kind of go from there. Get the screwdriver up here. That should be perfect.
All right. I used most trick and got the second beat on there with the Pedro's pretty easy, just using the reverse side. So good tip on that, Mo.
Yeah. If anyone ever has built their own bike from a frame up or has replaced their bottom bracket, you might encounter an issue sometimes. If you have a little cable guide on the bottom bracket shell there, they typically have a little threaded screw. Sometimes that gives you a little difficulty when getting them started, so I went ahead and just backed that screw out a little bit so that it doesn't interfere with my bottom bracket. All right, there we go. That guy started nice and smooth. Go ahead, grab my non-drive cup before I get too far in there. Start that guy. And notice one thing, I'm starting this bottom bracket purely by hand. I'm not getting a big crescent wrench on there to start getting it into engage the threads. I'm just going really smooth with my hands. That's the whole point of doing that whole face and chase procedure, is so that everything is smooth and lines up as it should, and you have no problems with any bottom bracket interface there. All right.
With square taper bottom bracket styles, Mo, how important do you think it is to get something, you know, that's like, do you think it's worth spending extra money on something, or is, you know, an entry level Sunlight brand bottom bracket get you by?
I think that definitely really just varies on the rider and the type of conditions they're going to be riding in. If you are a bigger or stronger rider, who's really putting a lot of cranking torque on that bottom bracket.
If you're mashing.
Yeah, if you're really mashing down on it, sometimes getting a bottom bracket that has a better and higher quality seals in that sealed portion of the bottom bracket bearing does make a difference just because it's keeping that moisture and that grit out.
Yeah.
The other part is, yeah.
It seems like the bigger dudes who, you know, really just crank the crap out of it and mash go through bottom brackets faster. The fixie guys go through them way faster because, you know, they're using their crank as their brake. So you'll just see it.
That, and a lot of them are riding in all weather conditions, so it's really getting a lot of water and grit, and you know, all that sand and dirt you're picking up from the road is just acting like fine sandpaper on your bike. And so that's one of the reasons it's really important to be really good about keeping your bike clean. You know, the cleaner your bike is, the better it's going to run, because you're not essentially hitting it with 120 grit sandpaper the entire time it's doing any of its, you know, mechanical working component.
Right.
Yep. All right, cool. So we got the torque wrench here set at about 40 Newton meters, which is the standard torque spec for most bottom brackets. Well, most square tapered bottom brackets, I should say. All right, nice and easy. Couple clicks there. Go to our opposite side here. Same deal. All right.
All right, we good on that?
Yeah, we're pretty good there.
All right, what's next? Bottom or headset?
Yeah, I guess we should do the headset.
All right, Mo won the argument on this particular part. I was gonna put like a Japanese Tanjaseki brand new headset, but he made a rather convincing argument to reuse a Chris King headset that we've had for a while here at the shop. It was previously owned, but what's the thing about these Chris King headsets you were saying?
So there's a lot of, you know, high-end parts that are what we call lifetime parts. Like you saw a lot of Brooks and with the idea that that's a lifetime saddle. That's something you know, if you treat it well, it's going to treat you well. Sure. I think of certain bearings on our bikes, like a good quality bearing like a Chris King is one of those parts. Like we said, this was a previously owned headset, but you know, take it apart, put a little bit of grease in the seals if it needs it, and these things are great to roll just for another, you know, 100,000 miles plus, however you know long you have them, as long as you treat them well. What's your opinion on some of the Chris King stuff?
Yeah, well, overwhelmingly positive. So one thing that makes them really unique is their bearings, actually. So they use these old World War II machines, and they machine everything up from scratch in their shop, and they use parts of equal wear, meaning all the different pieces fit perfectly when you buy them. And one thing that's really cool about their bearings is that they're called angular contact bearings, which basically there's different types of bearings, but know that basically as these wear, as long as you keep them clean and you keep them from being rusty, keep them lubricated, they'll kind of wear into themselves. And they actually fix the biggest disadvantage with angular contact bearings, which are the seals. So they basically, by making everything themselves, they have these nice seals that they design themselves to where you get all the benefits, the wearing in, and the, I guess you could say the, what am I trying to say here? They're good at handling forces that go side to side as well. So bottom brackets, headsets, you experience load from all over the place. But then you have all the weather resistance that you need too. So they're serviceable, you can pull them apart. I've pulled mountain bike bottom brackets apart from people who ride thousands of miles a year in all kinds of conditions, and definitely didn't take care of them. And after some service, we're back and running again, smooth as ever. So there's made of stainless steel so they don't rust. All that to say is you pay a bit of a premium, but you're only buying something once. And as long as you take care of it, it'll last for a lifetime. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Right on. We're setting up the headset press over here.
Yeah. I like their hubs too.
And they're an American company, right?
Yeah, they're
Kind
a
of-
U.S. company. They make everything here in the States. So there's only a handful of companies that can pull that off. A lot of them have to source something from overseas. But yeah, they're able to do everything except for maybe the raw materials. They feel like sometimes the bauxite with aluminum comes from places. But, you know, they do everything in their power to make sure everything's happening here, jobs here, so on and so forth. So cool.
I'd love to do the honors if y'all will let me.
Yeah, I think you were in the honors here.
Put a little grease on these guys just to get them easier in on that.
Yeah. But on a simpler level, I just think they look cool.
Yeah, you got to grease these cups up so they go in nice smooth. The main thing you're trying to do is just make sure you're leveling them up and getting them in nice and squarely or flatly. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just those cups.
One thing to know for any home mechanics that are doing
What are you
this,
saying?
if you start pressing them in and they start to go in a little bit
It
angled,
didn't look like it was.
a little bit of patience goes a long
No
way.
cups.
Just knock them out and start again. If you try to force them in, it actually can change the shape of the headset or the head tube and actually do some damage. That's not always immediately apparent. So, yeah, long story short, if they're going in right, it should feel nice and smooth. Shouldn't take a ton of force.
All right.
This one's going a little sideways. Yeah.
And they'll usually line up once you kind of start. We don't have the cups on it anymore because the bearings in this one are not really removable, right?
On that one,
Well, they're removable, just not easily removable.
Force them out.
All right, I'm making these guys really nervous, as you can see. They doubt my abilities here.
Nah, it's going in.
No, it's going in perfectly.
Yeah, there's not a lot of other places for these two cups to go, even with without those bits on there. So once you see they're kind of flush, you should have squeezed some grease out
Yeah.
on your side, nice and tight.
My first headset bearing press as a home wrench was just a threaded rod from the hardware store and washers.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And there was some wood and malleting involved too for
Maybe.
mine. What about yours?
I don't remember the mallet part, but you can. I've seen people do that and it works. But yeah, as
Right.
long as you line everything up nice and centered, you don't necessarily need the special drifts, which are like the things that slot in.
Yeah, I think I started mine with just thread and then whacked it the rest of
Yeah.
the way in or something.
I've whacked a few hubs in my day. I have a press kit now, but it started out with screwdrivers, so yeah.
Just trying not to drop this once it comes off.
It's looking good.
Here it comes.
All right, so let's get this guy. We're gonna have to figure out roughly how much we need to cut off the steer tube before we can get the crown race pressed all the way on, because as you guys can see, this steer tube is quite massive and it's actually longer than our crown race press is. So we'll have to cut a little bit off before we can get there, but yep, there we go. Let's see, you got that top cap for the Chris King.
Yeah, and that's another common function to bring a frame in. If you have a new frame to you, a new fork, bring it into the bike shop, and we've got the tools to cut it to size. With a lot of bikes, we just recommend customers not cut it right off the bat, and you put your stem anywhere along that excess here, and you might have a little bit of stem or a little bit of a fork tube over your stem, but you can play with different heights of running your stem, and it kind of just helps you figure out your ergonomic situation a little better before you cut this off here, because once you cut it, it's permanent. You can't get that length back.
Yeah, and if you've ever cut your fork
Should we cut it off the bike?
too short,
Is that what you're thinking?
which like I have, I've done that several times. There's no real fix except for getting a new fork, which is way more expensive than measuring twice, cutting a little long, trying it out, making sure it's right. So
Yeah, let me grab one.
What's gonna look too goofy here?
connect fork.
Put a bit of stack on it.
All right, so one thing that I did not really think about was the stem. I should have, but you know, we've been really busy cranking out repairs, so this was kind of an afterthought, was putting together this bike, even though we've been thinking about it for quite some time. But with stems, stems should be looked at as kind of an experimental part almost. You might not want to go really big on your first stem on a new bike build, just because, again, you want to dial in your ergonomic situation. So for this, we've got pretty short stem with just a hair of rise. Is there a little rise on that? Yeah, a little rise on that. Rise meaning coming up that way a little bit. Is that like a 5 degree or something?
It's probably a little more than a 5. Let's double check.
But yeah, this one's a Terravel stem. They make some quality stuff.
6 degree on that.
6-degree rise on this. So your stem, as you're trying to figure out fit and comfort, you can go longer. We call that length, and that's from this tube to this tube. It usually comes from like 60 millimeters up to 110 and more. And then the rise again is this, and we do have some really cool like Velo orange stems to choose from if we want to go like goofy rise. Any thoughts on stem on this? Like, I guess this is new to all of us, Mini-Velo, but
Yeah, I feel like the stack or the front end is probably going to be higher than on, for example, a road bike.
For sure.
Because the wheels are smaller.
That's why the head
But-
tube's so long here too, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think leaving it long is going to be good to start, and that also gives whoever will be riding this the opportunity to, again, make adjustments as they go. I think that's probably, definitely a good start.
You're just scoring it there. You think that's the spot?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit below that just to give ourselves plenty of preload compression room there. But
Yeah, he's marking his cut with the utility knife. Utility knives are great instead of markers sometimes.
got a perfectly clean line there that I can reference from. All right, let's not drop all of these.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is one of the things that's a little trickier putting a bike together is getting your fork installed. The headset won't always hold it like that, like it did nicely here. So you got to watch from dropping that out of the bike on accident and banging up your fork dropouts.
I just thought of a funny question. Matt, what was the first bike that you ever built? Might be going back a ways.
You know, like, I got experience before building my first bike by kind of rebuilding my first Surly Ogre. My first Surly ever was an Ogre, and I had that long enough to have it rust, and I had it sandblasted, repaint it. So
Sure.
even up to that point, I'd kind of rebuilt it with my own parts. But then once it was sandblasted, I got to pick from a Kia 2010 color swatch, and I picked like a copper Kia color.
Yeah.
I had it done at Indy Auto Body on 38th Street. They repainted the frame, did a beautiful job, and I kind of built that bike back up. But the first new bike I built, I bought a Karate Monkey frame from ICS, and I worked with them. Scott at the time was the dude really known for building custom wheels, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure he still does a lot of that.
Sure.
But yeah, I had some Velocity dually rims put on that and was running kind of almost like a plus setup on my Karate Monkey.
Sweet.
But yeah, putting the Karate Monkey together was the first one. And then the Soma behind me, I built for my wife, Jess. And that was like a lot of learning there because I got this Soma double cross frame, which we're a Soma dealer. If anybody loves Soma, please hit us up. We love building these things. Double cross just got a really nice review from Pathless Pedal, this frame here. He did like a 10-year long-term review on this bike. I got this frame particularly cheap and wanted to build Jess up a build that was nothing but silver components. So having to just shop and like check all the boxes and make sure all the sizing was right on all the parts and trying to go silver taught me a lot.
Yeah.
So that's hanging on the wall these days as she's almost a full-time e-biker.
Sure.
So it's got a lot of sentimental value to me being like one of the first bikes I like painstakingly spec.
You've had the, not to throw you under the bus here, but you've had the question, is that bike up for sale before?
I know people have tried to buy it and like...
So, have you ever thought of what the number would be if you were to get rid of that? Or is that just you'll keep it on the wall forever, Jess would kill you?
I'd want to really think about it because this is just good advice for building a bike in general. Like, I can't say I've ever stayed in budget for a bike build. So when you go to set off to do something crazy like this, know that plan will not go as planned, and you will buy duplicate parts for things that you didn't foresee not fitting. And it's a lot of things to think about. So it involves getting a good spreadsheet together and a lot of mental exercise on the parts list. So as for the Soma, man, yeah, I'd have to go through each part and kind of remember what everything's worth, because it's got some nice stuff and it's got some budget stuff too. But like, it's got a Velo orange, like narrow wide chainring up front, which those are pretty popular if you just want to run a 1x. And
yeah, it's a classy bike.
yeah,
Very
so
polished.
good question though, Mo. Some things are worth more to you than the price could ever reflect, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so while Mo's getting busy on cutting down the steer tube, we could get the wheels fitted, right?
Yeah. If you want, I don't know if you want to put the rotors on. Or,
Yeah.
let's
Let's do that.
and we can do rotors and cassette, and then kind of get everything where it ought to go.
Yeah, so before we can get the wheels fitted on the bike, we need to finish by putting the disc rotors on. While sourcing parts for this bike, we only had availability for like a rear hub with the 6 bolts. So when it comes to disc rotors, you need to know between, if it's a 6-bolt style, which is kind of the classic old school disc setup, or the center lock style. So more often you're seeing the center lock style used on bikes. So you think these are 160 millimeter rotors?
Ooh. Sure. Let's find out.
Yeah. 160 is the most common. So
yeah, on the topic of spreadsheets and budgeting and parts that don't fit, we're about to find out if they're 160s.
Yeah. Luckily, we have a bike shop at our disposal with various parts to choose from. So
It's an excellent question, though.
if you're shopping disc rotors ever, I really prefer the center locks. These 6 bolts just take a lot longer, a lot more wrist work.
Look at that, gentlemen. That's the best cut I've done in the shop all week.
It's nice and clean.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
I was stressing last week when I had to cut a steer tube and I was like, oh, this is going to take a little bit of cleaning and sanding, which is to be expected, but that one was a...
Not my favorite. Let's see. So, while Mo's cleaning that up, I can talk a little bit and show you guys visually what we're talking about with these rotors. This here is it's called a center lock rotor. Basically, how it goes on is it's one piece that slides on, and then you just have an end cap that screws on to hold it. Whereas Matt, because we had issues with sourcing stuff, we actually have the other kind here. It's actually nice because it's a great way for us to show you the 2 types of mounting systems. That's the classic 6-bolt style. So basically 6 bolts that bolt on and hold things in place.
Yeah. I always throw a little bit of grease on there. Do you?
I do usually as well. Yeah. It's important not to get grease on your rotors, but a little bit on any of what we call the interfaces of the parts that slide together can be useful to just make sure that it's much easier to get off when the time comes.
Yeah. Finger grease included. The oil from your hands is not loved by your braking system.
That's probably, would you say that's one of the most common ways that we get like contamination in our brake surfaces, or people, mishandling the brake surfaces?
It's hard to say, yeah.
Like, basically, if you have squeaky brakes, it's possible that stuff like oil or other road contamination, or even the spraying cleaning products you might use on your chain can sometimes end up on the rotor, and that can be a source of that noise. That's how I got my first squeaky brake. So where can I put the box for that?
Sorry, what?
The box for the rotor.
Oh, you just stack it over here. It's fine.
Yeah, I just need to get the cat. Good old wheel lab dropping things under there.
Whenever you cut with a hacksaw, you just want to file down any burrs. And
Get it nice and clean. I like trying to get a pretty solid, like kind of roll over to the top lip of my stem or my fork, just to make it easy to get the stems and all that on there. Not leave, like you said, any crazy sharp burrs on it. All right.
As for these rotors, I just always look at which direction the writing is inscribed on the rotor, telling you the 160 millimeter size, the brand of the rotor, and all that. And that always faces out. There is a direction to the rotor. You just don't want to put it on wrong side in. I've got the 6-bolt here. Never touch one of these 6-bolt rotors with a normal hex wrench. You need these, what they call them, Torx wrenches. So this is probably a worthy tool right here to have at your bike tool bench. Just a Torx T25. It's a pretty commonly used tool. And unlike what Brandon has over there with the center lock disc rotor, he's going to use a different tool to install that thing.
Right.
That's a cassette tool, right?
So there's a few. This one's going to be the BB tool. It's an
Okay.
external one.
I gotcha.
So they have ones that are innies and outies. So the Audi has what we'd use for maybe a bottom bracket that kind of wraps around this and twists it. Then there's ones that are the innies, which are, it's like a cassette tool where the splines are on the inside. I was actually looking for that tool.
The bottom bracket tool.
Yeah.
It's probably in our bottom bracket drawer over there.
Additional piece of hardware that goes into, cutting down a brand new fork to size is going to be your star nut, or if you have a carbon fiber fork, there's another type of hardware called a compression nut, or a different assembly, a couple wedges usually. That does a better job of distributing the load better, so it's not crushing the carbon. This guy's just a star nut that you punch into place with a specialty tool that top M5 bolt for your stem assembly hits into. So we have a handy little tool here to help us keep it nice and straight. All right, where's my hammer? You mind handing me the hammer? Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna finish setting up this rear wheel right here with a. We've chosen micro shift for this build. Micro shift has been around for a while, but they really came to the forefront in the industry during COVID, when parts availability was kind of a thing. So they've really taken off since then and become another trusted name beyond Shimano, SRAM, Campy, that kind of stuff. So in this case, we found a nice, really short derailleur to use on this Mini-Velo bike. You want a short cage derailleur because you're just running closer. The whole thing is closer to the ground and you're risking dragging a longer cage derailleur. So we've got an Advent extra short cage derailleur here to go with this Advent micro shift 9-speed 11 through 38 cassette. Always want to grease up the free hub body here, so this thing will come off nicely when it's time to put it through the parts wash or replace.
Alright, and then I had a top bolt assembly somewhere.
All right. So a little bit about these bikes again, the Mini-Velos. One of the first companies that really comes to mind with the Mini-Velos is the Bike Fridays out of Japan. They've been at it for decades, Bike Fridays.
Easily.
Yeah, they've been at it for a long time. So they might deserve credit for kind of starting off the whole Mini-Velo thing. But it's a craze in Japan. In Japan, you've got a lot of density there and just shorter humans, as far as I understand it. So they're great bikes for urban life and people with shorter statures, and just for people who want to have a lot of fun. We're all gonna rip one of these for the first time here at the end. And the thing that I really expect is that this thing will be like a party to ride, just because it's less wheel underneath you, easier to bail out on if you do try to jump something.
Who's gonna crash it?
Yeah, who's going to crash it first?
Yeah.
And, talking back to about how it's a dumb bike, you have the freedom to put either drop bars on it, maybe something flared. Flared drop bar would be hilarious. Or like we've chosen just like a dramatic high riser bar from Soma. And back to the flared thing. Soma is actually credited for being the first brand to do the flared drop bar things. I always thought it was like the Salsa wood chipper, cow chipper. But Soma is actually credited with doing flares for the first time. Soma is an American bike brand out of San Francisco, California. They were started out of a bicycle shop called American Cyclery in San Francisco. The owner, Bradley Wohl, reached out to the owner or the director of Mary Sales, which is the parent company to Soma. And they worked out using some of Bradley's Taiwanese contacts to make the brand come to life. So they had some frame designs, shared them with fabricators in Taiwan, and now we have Soma here. Soma has, I'd almost call it like a throwback brand because they are steel bicycles, but they also make like a classic mixedy frame, which is like the prettiest mixedy frame that I can think of that's like beautiful. Even in production anymore. Are there any other companies other than like Rivendell that have anything like a mixedy?
Not what I would call a true mixedy.
Yeah, so Soma's is a true, right?
Yeah, true mixedy.
And if you, yeah, go ahead.
A bike that I've been drooling over that they've released recently is their It Takes Two, their full length double tandem. Like it is the most beautiful bike I've seen in a while, and I've just been drooling over that thing.
Oh my goodness, should Jess and I get one for our 15th anniversary this year? I was just thinking like some couple needs to get one of those. I'm like, why not me?
Well, in the interest of making it another 15, how about we keep you guys off a tandem?
I would say, Jess, look what I got us for our 15th anniversary. And she said, all right, if that's really planning on going in our garage right now, then I'm leaving you.
She's going to be real mad when your Metrofits has to go home soon.
Oh yeah, I've got like the longest bike in the world. I have a front-loading Metrofits bike. But I've never ridden a tandem with another person. I've test ridden them alone for the shop, but I've never ridden a tandem bicycle with another human. I'm kind of ashamed at that fact, but it would be fun to ride with Jess for the first time on either a Soma or the Rivendell tandem. Those are both prime choices.
So, you want to talk a little bit about our drivetrain here since it's quickly coming together?
Yeah, so Microshift, again, is a company that I think you can trust nowadays, especially if you're not trying to break the bank. I'm not like a lot of cycle people that really are precious about their drivetrain parts. Like I do appreciate a sexy crankset or something like that, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the dirtiest, grimiest part of the bike, the drivetrain, whether you're talking the cassette, front crankset here, or the rear derailleur. It takes the most use and abuse. So to me, if you're trying to shave money off of a build, why not just get an affordable drivetrain that you're cool with just running into the ground? And then go hard on things like the pretty stuff, like the brake levers, and if you want to get fancy hubs or something. I think that's money better spent than the drivetrain. What do you think? Are you precious about drivetrains?
It depends on the bike. Sometimes I am, but I will say that's one of the first areas that I'm willing to compromise. Even when I was riding and racing really, really nice bikes, I never really got into the electronic group set thing. There's nothing wrong with them and they work very well, but I found I could save a lot of money with a lower end group set that was more reliable, and then putting that money, either saving it in my pocket or putting it elsewhere. Usually for me, as you'd expect, I'd probably put it into the wheels, but there's a lot of different places that you can either add style or performance to your bike. So.
Yep. Well, while this is starting to look more and more like a bike, as silly as it is, I'm going to grab our brakes, and you can start on the front.
Okay.
And I'll start at the back. It looks like we might need some brake bridges, right? We're going with Mo's personal favorite brake of all time, the Avid BB7. Just kidding. This is my favorite, just because it's like what I've grown up knowing, and
It's a solid mid-range brake, I will say.
you're mid-range. No, I like these brakes, the BB7, because it has dual pad adjustability, or at least adjustability on each pad. I don't know if that's dual pad, but so I mangled the box here.
All right.
Ooh, I got the ones with at least the black hand adjusters. Like usually these have like a little red orange cap right here and right here, but I saw that they're available blacked out, so I thought that would just be a good component for this build, since we're sticking with mostly black and I didn't want to add another off color. So these can be run front or back. And depending on your configuration of your brake mounts on your frame, you will either need a post, which would be called a post-mounted brake, or directly if they were configured to do so. It looks like we're going to need a post, right?
Yeah.
And do the brakes come with a post? They do not. So we do have some post options. There's not like a ton of post sizes out there, right? It's kind of standard.
There
Kinda.
are quite a few.
Yeah.
There's a couple. It can be a little confusing, but it's not as bad as bottom brackets. But
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
we will play around with the parts bin to find
Those
something.
look like.
Oh my goodness, this is.
Yeah, something.
Why did we do this? I just now backed up and looked at what we were putting together.
The creature is coming to life.
Why do people let us do this kind of stuff?
See, yeah, bike people, this is like the dream right now for me. Like building a really silly bike that actually is going to turn some heads. And no one asked us to do this. No one asked for this.
Nobody asked for this.
But I'm here for it. We're here for a good time, not a long time, right, Mo?
I'm fully both, but
I'm going to cut the price tag off this thing. Part of this being a dumb bike is how much it's going to cost when it's all said and done. Just for the purple frame set and the matching fork, we've got a $740 price tag on it. And Soma is a premium brand though, so that's part of it. You've got really nice steel tubing on this bike. They've put a lot of detail in making this an adventure, camping, full utility bike. You can strap camping gear to these brazons right here. You could run silly little fenders on this thing to make it the ultimate city puddle jumper. You could put racks, which I think we're gonna do. Like I've got a really sick Soma front rack that we've got an extra one of these too if somebody wants one of these, but kind of a unique front rack here. You guys tell me what you think, but
Yeah, the angle is a little off. Thank you.
I was looking at them from afar. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tilt that down just a hair for comfort and bar spins. Well, we can keep the rack off and hold on.
I'm just sizing it up. I think this could go if we were so inclined. It's
I don't
on
hate
brand.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's on brand.
That's the good thing about bikes when they have lots of little we call them barnacles, to put attachments. You can run these kind of racks that depend on that kind of attachment point. And again, oh yeah, this could be a BMX bike, except
this could be a bar spinner, bro.
Yeah, we might want to put that on it. So yeah, let's keep going. I'm getting really excited with this. I was talking about the BB7s and why I like these things. It is a cable actuated brake, so it's not a hydro brake. Cable's gonna come here and grab on. But I really like these because you got this adjustment here. You can turn left or right with your hand, and then this little wheel here that you can adjust. And adjusting either one of these will bring the pads in or out. So you can move this side's pad in closer to the rotor by doing that, and then back out by doing this. So a lot of pads don't have that adjustability, and you can just like look through there and see the daylight when you're trying to adjust them on the fly and make these adjustments if you're here in rub and need to do away with rub and get them tighter. So that's why I love these brakes. It looks like a normal chainstay length, despite it being a smaller wheel. They just put a bunch of daylight into here.
Yeah.
Which I'm interested to see what interesting bag configurations we can fit in there.
I wonder if it'll feel easy to wheelie or hard to wheelie. I would think kind of hard just because this is so far back.
Yeah, I think hard. I'm just bad at wheelies, so it'd be hard no matter what I rode.
Who do you think's the wheelie champion of Indianapolis, Mo? Got to still be in town. I know one that comes to mind, but
Yeah.
no offense.
I think it's, you know what, their brother's pretty up there on the list still, because
Yeah.
they were both pretty sick at it.
So Bradley.
Brad's
current.
one of them. We got Wheelie Kid Austin.
Yeah, Wheelie Kid Austin's
He's
coming
pretty
in
good.
hot.
I'm
And Ray Brewer on his trikes. He wheelies those things.
Cool. Oh, and it's got a clutch too. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a tiny little derailleur, right?
I do like the swing function on that too, because it keeps it kind of like away from that cassette too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what Brooks are we putting on it?
I was thinking of cambium. What did you think?
I was thinking cambium would look pretty sick on this thing too, yeah.
All right, so to match the rear derailleur, we've got an Advent right shifter here. You know, shifters come left and right. Right's usually your, rear shifter, and left is your front shifter. In this case, we're only gonna have one shifter on the right for the rear. It'll give us a cleaner look. Not having a left one and a derailleur here, it'll also give us access to this bottle cage if we want to run accessories. So a lot of bikes these days are going one by up front, given the technology getting better with having a huge pie plate cassette in the back and wider ranging derailleurs. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the front shifter installed, and then we can get the brake levers installed, and then the grips. What kind of grips do you think would go good on this thing?
Well, we could go with some classic Vans, since we have like a decent bit of space on the bar right there before we chop them down. What else do we have?
Vans would.
All right. Matt, tell us a little more about these pedals we got here.
Oh yeah, I was kind of looking at our coveted MKS pedal collection over here. We've got a lot of MKS pedals, and for good reason. They're made in Japan. We really lean into the Japanese cycling culture here at the shop. MKS Japan's been going for decades now. They're one of the main track pedal manufacturers. They've got years of experience in making toe cages, straps, that kind of stuff too. For this particular build, we're going with our favorite pedal ever, especially since this kind of has like a lot of BMX styling and origin to it. This is the MKS Always. If you go spin all the MKS pedals, I feel like this one just spins the best. It is just butter smooth. There is no friction in there. So for that reason, and just the cool look and the nice grippiness and kind of large deck, I really love these pedals. It's probably our best seller, and they even make another version of these with the easy attachment if you want to take your pedals off quickly, whether you're traveling and putting your bike on a car rack. It's nice to have the capability to quickly remove pedals, or if you run a different styling of pedals, and you can swap them out easily. The Easies are good for that. So every time you put on a pedal, you want to just put a little grease into the threads so it's ready to come out someday. And the pedals also come with these pedal washers that just offset it off the crank a little bit.
Not always the most necessary thing. Sometimes if you have a really, that's the last one I think. If you have a really nice crank set, you might, like a full carbon crank set, typically you might see those come with the pedal washers, just to give you a little space and some kind of, spread that load of the pedal getting threaded and torqued into that carbon. Spread that out across the surface a little better.
Remember, the left pedal is always threaded backwards. It's lefty-tighty on that.
How often do you see the left pedal cross-threaded?
Once every now and then.
Yeah.
We do sell pedal wrenches here at the shop. It's a good, like, one of the first tools to buy if you're maintenance curious and interested in collecting some bike tools. Your pedal wrench, they're nice and long and nice and thin, so you can get them in there, and it's an enjoyable tool to use, I must say. Mm-hmm. All right, where are we at? We've got the brake calipers mounted. Now it's time to start getting some levers on. I've got the shifter on, which goes before the brake lever. And then with the levers, we can start thinking about cables. Here we go. Cool, yeah. We're really excited. Being a pretty young shop here, guys. We're about 15 months in here at Bike People. We're at our second location. You know, you guys might have heard the story that we started somewhere else, but we're here now. But we're really excited with what I'm opening up here. I feel like a milestone in any bike shop's trajectory would be getting a Paul Components account. So Paul is another one of these kind of boutique American brands. Chico, California, known for their precision machined bike components. These are the love levers. They have these huge adjusters here that you can do with gloves on or no gloves, and just really nice components. They look good, and they also come in different anodized aluminum colors. Sticking with mostly black on the Soma build here, we went with black. There is the left one.
You're on my housing, bud.
Yep, sorry. Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot there is cable stops on this side.
So I owned my first set of these on a Rivendell I built. They're very popular with the Rivendell crowd, which is kind of an odd pairing, given like Rivendell's such a throwback brand, making like classic looking steel bikes, and Paul is very kind of rad moto inspired modern stuff. So it does look really good on the classic stuff, oddly. So always a pleasure unboxing this stuff and just looking at it even, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we got our Paul account, which is fun to work with Wheel Labs on customers, custom wheel builds now using Paul stuff.
Our first order, we had about six hubs come through. They're another, again, why I like them is they're an American brand. They're great for folks who like fixie, single speed, those sorts of things. I actually used Paul hubs on one of those international track wheel builds that I had done. But they make more casual stuff too. I have a couple builds that are being made just for cruising around town. They have a really nice polished hub, and some of the components come in that polished look too. So if you like an extra bling on your bike, it is one great option. And actually, what I'm holding here are these Vans Cult grips. We were talking about using black, but I just wanted to show one other color that they have available, and I wanted to see what you guys thought of this. I was looking at it and I'm like, maybe, but I wanted to hold it up and let you guys make a judgment call.
Definitely. I'm never against the classic tan, rubber, gum, whatever you call that color.
If I was trying to justify it, I would say it kind of matches the tan wall tires. Close enough to go for it.
Yeah. What do you think? I won't be offended if we go black.
I don't necessarily hate it.
Let's think about it.
Okay, we'll think about it.
I need more zip ties. Really.
Yep. Yeah, they're on the in the Cafe Bastillo can over there.
I got some up here too.
Let me see. Let's get this lined up.
All right, every bike mechanic does things their own way sometimes, and I've never really watched Mo cable a bike, but I noticed he's starting from the back. Interesting. Do you start from the back, Wheel Lab?
No, but
Mo, what's wrong with you?
There's method to the madness.
In this sentence, it's full housing. I am kind of starting from the backside on this one.
Actually, yeah, I do one or two, depending on the bike. Sometimes with full housing, I have done it once or twice, but it's rare. Normally, I work from the front to the back.
For no reason, that's just what I do. I'm trying to think of it the other way. Is there any reason why you would do it?
The only reason that I can think of that I've done it is for bikes with weird internal routing, so sometimes it's easier to run it through the back and then get it
That
to
would
the bottom bracket.
Well, the chainstays are typically going to be your hard pinch point on a lot of that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Like coming in through here and down around the bottom bracket area.
Yeah. No rhyme or reason, as long as the ends connect.
All right. What are you thinking? I think we cut it right at about.
That looks pretty good.
Right about there.
Yep.
So Wheel Lab, where are you from originally?
Originally from Metro Detroit area.
Oh, shit.
Born and raised out there. Moved to Arizona for a little bit after school, and then somehow found my way back here. Being a little bit closer to home, but not too close. And actually, this is where I had ridden bikes before, but mainly just commuting to class and that sort of thing. But really got serious into mountain biking here because of the community here. I know we have a really sweet downtown community. There's a lot of industry here through SRAM and Zip, and I think because of that, you have a lot of pretty serious cyclists out here. So
You know, it's like the awareness of SRAM and Zip being here is like overshadowed by the motorsports thing, which is it's just cool, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really cool that SRAM has such a presence here, and like we personally know a lot of them. And Silka is local.
yeah,
They used to be downtown, but they just moved up to like Georgetown Road area, I guess. So yeah, we got some like industry players here. And I always like to just bring up, we've got like definite bike history here with the messenger scene. Go to like Jack's Donuts downtown and look at the art up, or the old pictures up on the wall. And it's just old like bike messenger photos that are black and white. Carl Fisher is in many of them. He's known from the motorsports world, being the Carl Fisher race team and the founder of the IMS Speedway. He was originally a bike messenger, so.
yeah. There's a surprising amount of crossover too between those worlds, I think.
Yep. All right, setting up disc brakes. You're always going to hear a little of that metal scraping sound as you get them set up, and the idea is to hear none of it. But sometimes you just get a little bit of rub, and you want to get the brakes bedded in, worn in, and it kind of minimizes that initial rub. I always try to center this caliper right in the middle of the rotor with the pads, with these BB7s all the way removed away, and then get it centered. And then as I'm setting up the brakes to get them nice and tight, start moving the pads in equally and working that cable tension. So one thing I see us doing a lot of customs on in the near future are track builds, because we're starting a Bike People Cycling Club track team with our friend Manny. And we've already got a few track bikes in shop. I don't know if you guys saw another all-city track bike just got here today. But track bikes seem like a really fun option to customize, partly because of the simplicity and lack of complexity, you know, like you don't have to think about cabling and derailleurs and cassettes and rotors and all the things that make this a little more of a exercise. So I kind of see that in my future. I want to go to the track, take 101, just learn the ropes, and try a bunch of the rental bikes there. You can rent a bike for $15 at the velodrome, which is really a good deal. And I could see the value in just trying a bunch of bikes and paying attention to the variations of them and seeing what works for me and what doesn't, and then kind of honing down on what model I want to do then. But right now we have availability to Soma track model, the Rush. We have availability to All City track models. All City, as far as I know, they're like an out of business brand, but we still have back stock available with some of the models. But that said, I saw an artist on Insta just did art for All City. So
yeah.
are they like still kind of alive and release something every few years? Or you guys know anything about that?
I don't, unfortunately. No.
They're still putting out cool art, so whatever that means.
Yeah. Hopefully they're still alive.
I'm kind of loving how painless that micro shift setup was. That way,
Yeah.
not to call it pretty straightforward bolt together, but that was a pretty straightforward bolt together on that.
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
I've been using microshift for a long time just because it came standard on a lot of the Surly builds that I've got over the years. And it's just like been stuff that works so well. Like once I wore out a cassette, I would just replace it with the same stuff just because it was cheap, carefree, and easy. If you're commuting all the time, especially, and you like to just ride your stuff and then put it away and forget about it, again, like just getting some affordable drivetrain stuff like microshift or basic Shimano stuff, it's all you really need. So if a custom bike sounds good, again, you can shave some pennies there. This might actually be the saddle to go with. Let me make my case for it. This is the Brooks Cambium.
That already kind of looks like it's hurting my.
The C67. Call this the big ass Brooks.
Is that because everyone who's riding it's above 67?
Perhaps. But I test rode on one of these once and was pleasantly surprised with how comfortable it was. And my thought on this is that it very well may be a shared bike someday between a household. This would be a good kind of general consensus choice that maybe it's not one person's favorite saddle, but it's not going to bother them. This is considered an upright bike style saddle, so you wouldn't want to go buying this one for something where you're, stretched forward. So definitely where your spine is stacked and you're sitting upright, that's where the 67 shines. You don't see a lot of the Cambium 67s out there, so I'm glad to highlight this one now because I think it deserves some love, and I really do think this might be the one for the Mini-Velo, guys. What do you think?
Let's try it.
Shareable,
See it.
upright?
Yeah. And one thing I think of too is this is the kind of bike where you might be doing a lot of different things on it. And if you're partying on this bike and doing some weird stuff, you're probably standing up like on a BMX bike too. So you're kind of up and down and around. So almost pick the saddle for style. And
Yeah. And
if you calm down, you have a nice stable platform to rest your bum.
right. And the difference between the Cambium, call it rubber saddles, and the leather one is definitely aesthetic. The Cambium, they look really good on like modern, sleeker, faster bikes. The leathers look really great on mini bikes, but especially steel bikes. But the Cambium does a good job of emulating the same feel of the leather. Like you sit on this thing and just kind of forget about it. It just floats you there. So these are flexible rubber, moves with you. They say that just the surface gives it some absorption in the flex while you're riding it. So yeah, again, I do like these. So Brandon, you ever been hit by a car on a bike?
No, and I hope to keep it that way. I've hit a lot of trees.
I never heard you talk about it, so I kind of figured you hadn't. But
Yeah, I have had plenty of friends and teammates who have, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely a big problem. I know that we have some pain points in the city that we're working on. But
yeah. You've had some friends, huh? Like from the road world, just out there in the roads.
Yeah. So college and Fall Creek and a few other places.
I always wondered about people who ride college, dude. Like, yeah, you're allowed to. It doesn't mean you should. There's like several parallel streets right there that you can just jot over to.
Yeah,
College makes me really nervous.
I think at certain times of the day you can get away with it, but it is a riskier route. It's right there. Here.
Yeah.
Definitely a riskier route. When I was commuting downtown, I did like to jog over to different streets, but
Yeah.
if you go at the right time, you could kind of sneak through and then link up to some of our trail systems. And
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've ridden it. Just
Yeah,
it's
I think
sketch.
that it's definitely a route that if you're a roadie and you're going 20 miles an hour, it's a different experience than if you're casually going. So
sure.
I think that definitely plays into it.
How often do you actually get to build the bikes that you build wheels for?
Very rarely, actually. Most of the time, the folks that are purchasing the wheels already have the bike built, and they're either having maybe a broken part replaced or slapping them in themselves. So it's kind of gratifying to see the finished wheels in the build, especially when it's a new build like this.
All right, what do you guys think about grips? Black or gummy?
Let's
I'm
hold them
kind of
up
still
and
set
see.
on the gum.
All right, let's hear what we can do is we'll hold them up and you guys take a peek. Now with the saddle on there, that's what I wanted to see how it all comes together, because you can either lean all black, which I think looks pretty darn good, or we can lean in with this, whatever this color's called, this gum tan classic color.
I don't hate the gum, but I think it's black. Like black will just look slick.
I think.
Let the tan walls
What do you think,
sing.
Mo?
I'm still going for gum wall on that.
Okay, leaving it up to me, man. I will say, I brought this up, so I want it, but I do think black looks better. I think black's classic.
Yeah.
So
Let them
let's go
tan
with
walls sing.
Alright, black it is. Alright.
Somebody's almost got the brake done. Who's working on the brake?
I ran the housings, but I was gonna let one of you guys do the
I'll do
cables.
that.
But yeah, they're all in place for you guys.
Okay.
Alright. Perfect.
So, Wheel Labs, what was your racing discipline?
Started on mountain biking, but I also did some road stuff as well. So for those of you who know Indiana's racing scene, the Dino races, which involve some of the local trails like Southwest Way, I did a lot and cut my teeth there. And then if anyone is mountain biking and thinking about racing, I think that that's a really good series to get started with. But then from there, there's a larger national.
Kids can even do that,
Yeah,
right?
kids, all ages. Yeah, all ages. They have men's races, women are involved. They have kids, you name it. They involve Brown County, Versailles State Park used to be in the rotation. Griffin Bike Park's actually taking a larger role in it as well. So they have their own events as well. But yeah, they encourage people to get out. They do running events and other stuff too. So even if you're not on two wheels, they have some ideas. But then I got into some of the larger national events, the marathon mountain bike stuff through the NUE series, which they have stuff all across the country. The first race that I ever did with their series is called the Mohican 100, which is 100 miles of, it's not all single track, but it's mostly dirt.
Is that over in Ohio at the Mohegan
Yeah,
State
it
Park?
is. Yeah, at Mohican
Dude, that
State
place
Park in
rocks.
Ohio.
That's why I immediately got along with you, by the way. We're both of mountain biking pedigree.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude.
It's a 20-mile-ish loop that starts things out in the state park, and then they link together. When I did the series, there were two other trail systems that were involved with some private property and stuff. The course tends to change every year just because of who's involved with the private property changes from year to year.
It was one of those King's Cross or whatever.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But that one was brutal. That took me 10 and a half hours to complete. I know some people have done it faster. Plenty of people do it slower. But yeah, that really taxed me, and that was an all-day event. I did one in Tennessee. They have the 100-mile stuff as well as the 60-mile stuff. And there's one called Big Frog or Cohutta in Tennessee, and that one was cool. And that one's always, it's usually in April, so a couple weeks before this time of filming. But that one's always wet and wild. There's always rain the night before and stuff, so it's always a good time and a good challenge early on in the season.
So you mentioned Mohegan.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I went with a couple buddies. We left, just as you always do, a little too late in the morning after you finally get on the road, getting the bikes loaded and everything. Of course, they want to stop at like the first notable brewery we were passing through in Columbus, Ohio. So 2 beers later, by the time we're on the road and headed to Mohegan State Park, northeast Columbus, it was already like late afternoon, and we were trying to put in like a 20-something mile loop at Mohegan. And we get into it. It was covered in leaves, and it was just extra attention that was needed to ride it, and just it was pretty gnarly riding there.
Yeah.
And the sun started setting, so of course it's getting even darker in the woods where we were. We're looking at the maps, trying to find just a place to bail off the trail so we can get back to the roads and like get back to where we were camping in the state park for the night. We bail off the trail, get onto the nearest road. We start heading back to where we think the campground is, and we take this like 10-minute hill where we're bombing.
Yeah.
We get to the bottom of the hill and realize, oh, we shouldn't have went down that hill. We should have turned at the top of it.
Oh, no.
And it was already like dark. We were underdressed. It was getting cold. So that was the last time I had to hitchhike. We started hitchhiking and got picked up by the first guy. He was in a pickup truck, kind of laughed at our dilemma, immediately handed over a bottle of like apple flavored Crown Royal, which I love Crown Royal. I never had the apple, and I don't care for the flavored stuff, but
Yeah.
just being handed that warming stuff after the uncertainty of survival, and getting driven back to the campsite.
Yeah, the single track there is at times unforgiving. It's pretty rooty and rocky, and you can walk certain things, but it's an adventure for sure.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back. It was good mountain biking for sure.
Yeah.
Covered bridge.
Yeah, they do have the covered bridge. They added onto it since you've been there too.
Oh, dang.
It's a little offshoot, so you can think of it as kind of like a little excursion or field trip about halfway around. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people will, thinking of, for those of you who know Fort Harrison or Fort Bend, how there's 2 loops, and you can either park in the middle of both of them or at either side. It's kind of like that. We're halfway through where I would traditionally do the loop. It's kind of like you can have 2 trail systems sort of to work off of. So,
I gotcha.
yeah. Yeah, my gosh. One thing that's not working is me on this tire. That's for sure.
Well, I just
So
got
Yeah.
a minor win for the team here. The disc rake is not rubbing, so
All right. That's a big victory.
well, as soon as I spin it, it starts rubbing.
All right, there we go. Woo! All right.
Made that look easy, didn't I?
Yeah, the isopropyl actually does make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that tip.
We're going to give you your money's worth in tips today. This isopropyl alcohol, doesn't matter the brand. It'll help you get grips on. If you can sneak a spoke or a little screwdriver under your grip and spray it under your grip and then move it a little bit, it'll help you slip a tight grip off. ISO cleans disc rotors if you got grease on them like we were talking about earlier. If you had to overhandle your disc rotor and it's kind of dirty, go ahead and just spray it with ISO and get a clean rag and clean it all off, and that'll bring you back to baseline.
Okay.
And then apparently bar plugs. All right, looks like this bead's like a little bit stuck in there a little bit, so I'm just gonna take my beloved tie pliers and
The cheater pliers.
nice little.
Yeah, make me do the hard stuff today, guys.
We've all been struggling.
With that one wheel.
That one.
Yeah, sometimes that you get it pumped up and just find that your bead isn't perfectly sitting around the edges, and it creates like a little hump in the tire. So this is a common thing we kind of wrestle with in the shop. Trying to just reset that bead. But yeah, we don't send out wheels that have humps and stuff like that. And
Okay.
it's probably one of the most common things we see with customers who put on their own tires and wheels is they just don't get the beads set all the way. This is pretty good. I see a little bit of hop. But like Mo said, we'll finish that detail later.
Here, we can get this front brake rolling.
Sometimes once you get it spinning too, I've also had them just kind of some of that
Yeah,
physical
just
force kind of help them.
test ride it, you know. All right, here at Bike People, the bike shop sticker is not dead. If you ride a bike with one of these little guys on it, you know you're being taken care of. Put the Bike People sticker on here. All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to start on the front rack. I've gotten in the habit of using a little bit of thread locker during. Thank you. I was looking for it. Some for thread locker, the removable kind with the blue stripe for racks, because racks are just one of those things. They have extra weight on them, extra forces rattling them, and you definitely don't want a rack coming off mid-ride and getting tangled up in your wheel or something. So use some locking washers. So Brandon, out of the select locations in Indianapolis to go mountain biking, where's your spot of choice?
Well, this is just down to where I learned to ride, but Southwest Way for me on the southwest side of town is my favorite.
Yeah.
What I like about it is that there are some hills,
Uh-huh.
there's some flow trails, but also that it dries out very quickly. So if you want to ride and it just rained, depending on how much rain you got, it's definitely your best chance of getting a ride in that day. That's what I really like about it.
Really? I didn't know that about it. It's quick drying.
Yeah, very quick drying. The downside to it is that it can get really dusty in the summer. So that can definitely test the grip of your bike and your bike handling a little bit in spots. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I think it's a hidden gem. Town run's always a good standby. It's nice and flat, so if you hate hills, it's perfect. And then they now allow you to go both ways. So if you go on Tuesday, then you go again on Wednesday, it's a different experience.
Yep. I retired from Town Run. Told Mo I slammed too hard last time I was there. I made myself physically ill. I hit the ground so hard. Just laid on the picnic table for a while after that. And It's the last time I've been. So I'm a Fort Bend guy, through and through. You'll find me out there.
I think Fort Bend has some of the most technical trails of the downtown three, and it has a lot of routes. It's a lot of fun, a lot of shade too. So in the heat of the summer, I really like that. But yeah, those are the big three. Zionsville has a small 3/4 mile loop called Overly Warman Park that the mountain bike group in central Indiana, they're actually building trails. I think in the next week or two they're adding to them. So
Really?
I think that's going to be an area to keep an eye on if you're looking for a new place to ride. When I've ridden it, the 3/4 mile loop is very up and down, very tight, and it has some rocky sections. It's more technical than you might expect. And then it has these other trails nearby that honestly they're flat, flowy, tight. You can ride them on a gravel or a cross bike as well as a mountain bike. So they're actually a lot of fun.
Nice.
They're small and growing.
You know where I went a year ago and really wanted to go back and thought it was cool? You ever been? It's called, it's in Oxford, Ohio, Houston Woods.
Yeah, I've been there one time.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too far of a drive, like 2 hours solid.
Yeah, it's by the college over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they have a decent amount of trails over there.
Yeah, definitely grown over the years, and I just love the campground. I've been going there since I was a kid. My grandparents used to live out there, and I used to live not too far from that area, and yeah, just great state park over there. You could bring a lot of buddies and spread out in the campground and rip trails. I think that should be in our future as a group.
Yeah, I would love to go back out there someday. And I know for people who are, if you have any beginners in your life or kids, people that you want to get out and riding, there's a newer, within the last year or so, trail system out in Lebanon called Stone Eater. And they have
I've
some
heard of that.
technical stuff, but for the most part, they're known for I forget how long it is, but it's at least a mile loop of it's kind of like a crushed gravel, and it's open rain or shine. So, and it's nice and flat. You can ride a gravel bike or hardtail, or full suspension if you really so chose. But it's great if you just want to get out and get some miles in, get someone familiar with a bike. They have a lot of skinnies, so if you want to practice your balancing, it's a great place to go.
What's a skinny, like a little ramp, one of those little wooden decks?
Think of a narrow log or something to where you have to balance a little bit. And so they have a lot of those.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out at least once or twice. All right, let's see. For someone who's never put a rack on a bike, how do you do it? What do you start with?
Well, you start with just holding it up to it and like making sure your mounting points are within range of either bending the rack to fit it or just lining up perfectly. In this case, the Soma rack just took bending out a little bit just because it's nice and tight fit around this fork. The mounting things on the Soma fork or the Soma rack line up at the top ones of this. So I'm going to attach to these two and then through the, what do you call this, the crown bolt or whatever?
Yeah.
And
so it looks like there are 3 mounting points here. So this has this adjustable sliding bit.
yeah, I set that up first just so that's on there and ready to go.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go ahead and thread that on there, I'll
Sure.
grab
So the main, I guess, is most of what you carry, the weight, go through this here.
Yeah, it's going to be hanging through there and partially like resting thanks to that bolt.
Yeah.
And
that's
the
it. It
definite
looks
thing you want to make sure with these things is you're using those locking washers with that little rubber seal in there and that you get enough purchase in there to actually get that bolt through the rubber. If not, that's how you'll have it back out
It looks
naturally.
like it'll actually naturally.
Oh, we got the wrong one. It's the middle one then.
Yeah, that's all good.
So yeah.
It looks like it's gonna fit nicely though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your NSB leftovers.
All right, what do you guys
there.
think of the basket? You guys see that?
I'm gonna
see
go
it.
not on this.
No
one,
basket.
buddy.
Someday a basket.
Not on this one, buddy.
Man, I love a front basket. Come on. The ultimate end user gets to choose. This bike is not claimed yet, people.
This is up for sale.
If you need this goofy machine in your life, come talk to the bike people. Come see us at your bike people. All right. The little saddle angle's a little weird, huh?
That's kind of clowning. Oh my gosh.
Should I put the saddle, nose it down a little bit?
No, it's actually not bad. I'd take it. The seat's just a little high.
Okay. Let me get
Holy
that.
cow. Somebody's gonna be real leaned over on this puppy. Dang, we're using that Chris King that's been floating on our bench for months.
Finally, right?
Good. It was a good call.
Good decision.
It looks real good in that bike too. It's like, ooh, bing.
All right. Should we take this bad boy outside for its first sunlight and
Maiden
photo
voyage.
shoot?
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us for hopefully first of many very interesting, unique bicycle builds here on the Bike People of Indy podcast. Because we've done a lot of talking about the unique people in our community that ride bikes. Sometimes we don't always talk about the unique options of bikes that can be out in the community too. So this was a good chance to show kind of that uniqueness of what we can build, and then also kind of give someone out there who might be watching this the opportunity to pick something up that's really unique. So I'll let Brandon kick it off with the kind of the first parts touching the ground here, which are the wheels.
Sure. Yeah. So these are Indy Wheel Lab customs. There are some Odyssey BMX 20-inch rims, and they're laced to Shimano disc hubs. And actually, they're mountain bike spacing. And I also have some Monet natural brass, sort of a gold color nipples, to some white accent and spokes to kind of bring everything together with the scheme of the bike. We thought doing something a little bit special for a bike as special as this was required. It wasn't an option, so that's why we went with that.
Going back to kind of the components we put on the bike here, we have the Gravel King these are their 20-inch tire here. We carry a pretty well-rounded selection of Gravel Kings here in the shop. They are a solid tire for the mixed, diverse types of riders that we have, whether you're doing solely, paved path commuting, or you're kind of beating off the beaten trail, getting into some of the rough of it. Gravel Kings make a lot of really great options for all that different type of riding. So it really complements the kind of different uniqueness of what this bike can do. Then we wrapped up the drivetrain components with some micro shift here. Micro shift has been around for quite a while, doing really great things, and kind of adding a third option to the market that has very largely been controlled by two of the biggest dogs in the game. So it's great to see a smaller independent brand come out and be able to do more and provide more to riders.
Yeah, Soma is a dear brand to me. So our first Mini-Velo, we went with the Soma Rufus frame. These are, I believe, contracted out to Black Snow Bikes for the frame manufacturer. Soma is a trusted brand though, out of San Francisco, California. American brand, we love them, and they make kind of a throwback style of steel bicycle. So whether you're getting a Mini-Velo or like their fog cutter or their double cross, you just got a quality bike in a Soma that you don't see a whole lot of them rolling around. And when you do see someone on a Soma, you know that they're like kind of an old head biker that has elevated taste, I'd say. Also worth pointing out is we got a cool Soma matching front rack on there. So this bike is meant to be a utilitarian machine. Again, it's good for city dwellers who might have to carry the bike up a set of stairs or ride it up an elevator, or say you want a travel bike and need to get it on a train. This is a good option just because it's a smaller wheelbase bike. But with the rack, we went with the matching Soma rack. You can just carry gear, whether it's travel gear or daily commute stuff, throw your backpack on there, whatever needs to happen. It's meant to serve you. So really big fan of this so far. Thanks everybody for watching our podcast today. Thanks a lot for Wheel Labs for joining us. If you ever need wheels, you can see us at Bike People. We have a bunch of accounts to get rims and hubs and things like that. And to complement what we can get, Wheel Labs also has his own wheel related accounts to get his specialty stuff. So whether you reach out to us and you're building through the shop, or you want to work directly with wheels, either way is cool. There's plenty to go around. We're just stoked to have wheels in our community. Stoked to have Mo here. We just really can't speak enough of the people we have here downtown fixing bikes, building bikes, and this is just a really exciting example of what we can do. So whether you're trying to get a Soma Velo Orange or a cute Mini-Velo, hit us up. We love doing this, obviously. We'd love to build yours.